Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. I call this meeting to order. It's a special open meeting of the Third Laguna Hills Mutual MNC Committee. This is a special meeting to discuss the streetlights project that we have. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, 2019. It's 2 p.m. I see that we have quorum for this meeting, and I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
All in favor? Thank you. Next item is member comments. Do we have any members who would like to comment for items that are not on the agenda?
I have no member comments at this time.
Moving right along, thank you very much. We are going to review the streetlight LED conversion pilot number 2, which was performed by Siemens Industries. Can I hand this over to Ernesto?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board members. We are today going to review the pilot program number 2 that you authorized Siemens to move forward with. We did receive some comments on the installations that we have, although most of them are positive. But they're kind of all over the place, if you would. However, we're provided that as an attachment to our report, and I'll touch on that briefly later. What I wanted to do is just kind of summarize where we've been with this. In March, as you may recall, the Third Mutual awarded a contract to Siemens Industry to do 3 things for you. One was to acquire the electrical infrastructure from Edison, a total of 759 poles and 781 live fixtures. 2 was to replace the aging high-pressure sodium fixtures with LED technology. And 3 was to provide maintenance and operation of the system. We've already, as you know, we've completed the acquisition of the infrastructure, and we're now in the phase of changing out the fixtures to LED technology. In October, Siemens Industry provided a fixture analysis of several light fixtures for you. In fact, a total of 5 fixtures they looked at. And based on their analysis, Siemens' recommendation was given to install the King K 427 simple LED retrofit kit, and I'm sorry, the King 427 and the Cobra heads, the GE Cobra heads. In January this year, a motion was made to move forward and deploy the first pilot program because we wanted the community to see what the different fixtures, what kind of lighting the fixtures provided at different locations. So that was installed, and we held a meeting with the board again on April 8th to discuss the pilot results. As you may recall, subsequent to that, there were many comments made relative to what the difference would be between the Kelvins on the fixtures, whether we should use 3,000 or 4,000, what the difference would be of installing these fixtures on different pole heights in the community, because we have a variety of pole heights, what the difference would be to install these fixtures at intersections versus in a cul-de-sac setting or a through street setting. So because of all of those variables, the board directed us to move forward with a second pilot program. That second pilot was commissioned from Siemens, and they went ahead and installed the second pilot on November 20th. And we, again, advertised it to the community and received feedback from the community relative to those installations. Again, as I mentioned, we did install 4,000 and 3,000 K heat on the lamps adjacent to one another, so you could see that difference. We installed the Cobra heads at the median at one of our entry gates. So we did hit all the varieties that were brought up initially by the board that they wanted to evaluate. And basically, we, provided the community the location, and we labeled the polls so we can get that feedback. So with that, our recommendation today is to authorize Siemens to proceed with the implementation of the streetlight fixture conversion from high pressure to LED on 759 Third Mutual-owned streetlight poles with the recommended King K427 top-mounted fixture and the Acuity Cobra head fixture in the contracted amount. So that's $745,000. If I may, also Siemens provided, we asked them for a cost because we wanted to make sure that we were in line with, the board had allocated for the purchase of this. And Siemens came back with a price that was actually $30,000 in excess of the contracted amount. And we explained to Siemens that that wasn't going to go very well with the board, that we had agreed on a contract amount. They explained that because of the time that had transpired from the time that they gave us the prices for the fixtures to now, there's been escalation in costs. So we essentially told them that if that was going to be the case, we were going to recommend that the board reconsidered the purchase, and they came back and they said, okay, we're willing to eat that $30,000 cost with the proviso that we need to move forward with this. Siemens is, they began to lose money on this contract because their ongoing involvement of the pilots and all of their staff that they have to assign to this. So it's in their best interest that we move forward, and now it's in our best interest for us to move forward. They've also indicated that they will not be contracted out to do any additional pilots at this point. So with that, I have a short PowerPoint presentation, which I'd like to run through real quick. So I wanted to review, again, there were 12 locations that were selected for the light replacement for this later pilot number 2. We selected color temperatures in the 3,000 and 4,000 Kelvin range. A light distribution was selected for, these fixtures have the ability to be adjusted to provide a variety of light distribution. So we adjusted those, and for the Cobra types, type 2s and the King type 3s. We selected different wattages for the various identified locations. We removed the high pressure sodium luminaires and we replaced them with the LEDs. And we labeled the poles with identifying numbers and letters so that we could get feedback. And we conducted myself, and Roger from our office conducted a night inspection of these locations with Siemens staff to make sure that the fixtures were exactly what we wanted. Again, these fixtures allow the flexibility of providing various light distributions, which are not possible with our current fixtures. And those are some of the distributions that are possible with the new fixtures. This is a map locating where the installation was. Number 1, it was for the Cobra head, and we installed it at 4 locations, as you can see there with the one in the start. Number 2 was the installation in a cul-de-sac situation. We wanted to make sure that the cul-de-sac installation was adequate with the fixture that we were providing for those locations. We also installed 2 at what we call through streets, so that we could see what the effect was on a through street. And then, of course, we installed a number of them at intersections, as are shown here. This is the fixture cost savings related to the installation. What's important to understand is that there will be a savings, an annual savings from this conversion of about $8,000 a year in energy savings. Now, this may vary slightly depending on the type of fixtures that ultimately gets installed at various locations, but we're looking at about the $8,000 range. So $8,000 per year from the installation. Yeah, so we're looking at about $84,000 savings for the king type fixture and $17,000 savings, but that's over the life of the fixture. And the life of the fixture is approximately 12 years. So just doing the math, we come up with about $8,000 in savings in energy costs for the mutual.
What's the ROI?
The ROI, we did not calculate the ROI based on the energy savings, but there will be savings. So that's all I can tell you at this point. So the next it's pictures of the locations, so you can see the difference of the lighting that's being provided by these new fixtures. Here you have the GE fixture. We have made the decision that we're not going to use GE. We're going to use the Acuity fixture instead of that. Both GEs and Acuities were installed out there, but we determined that the Acuity fixture is giving us a better light and it's not as glary. One of the things that we got from the comments that were made by the 15 people that actually commented on the pilot was that some of these locations were very glary. So that is due to the fact that we went to 4,000K on some of them. And also the GE fixture happens to be a fixture that, that generates a lot of glare. So, but this gives you an idea of what the lighting is doing out there. It's much better lighting. Here you see before and after. Again, here's another picture. One thing that it's important to realize from looking at this picture is where the light ends up going. So if you look at the picture, at the after picture on this, you can see that the light is actually not going in towards the manners. It's actually it's in the roadway, it's in the walkway, but there's a distinct boundary on the lighting, which is one of the characteristics of this fixture. It puts the light exactly where you need it. Here's another picture. And another picture of the Cobra style heads. And another picture. This is at one of the intersections. This is in a cul-de-sac situation. Let's see, 2.8, yeah, cul-de-sac. And you can see that the light, you can see from the old fixture, the light is actually shining on the manor there on the left-hand side. With the new fixture, we're able to direct that light, so the light ends up being right where we need it. So that's one of the benefits of this new technology. It's another fixture. It's another one. Another one. One of the comments that was made by one of the board members is that we don't want to be lighting the slope. It's very difficult not to put light on this slope because you have a 1-to-1 slope right next to the pole. So if you can look at there, where the pole is located, it's located right in the green area adjacent to that slope. So some of that light will spill onto that slope. So there's we have the same situation with the fixtures that we already had installed in there. And this is, again, another intersection. And another intersection. One of the through locations. And this is at Via Carrizo, one of the intersections. And so that concludes my little PowerPoint. So again, our recommendation is to move forward with your consultant's recommendation to get the installation going. Be happy to answer any questions.
Yes.
I make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
I second.
We have a member comment before you.
We can do discussion now.
We're in the discussion now.
Sure. Bert Moldow? Okay. Okay.
First, I would ask the board members if they have anything to say. Yes, sir.
I'm really interested in Bert's take on all this.
Sorry?
I'm very interested in Bert's take on all this.
Okay.
You'll have a chance to speak again.
Before Bert speaks, I was going to ask you if you had any comments, and Craig, if you had any comments. Okay. Bert?
Thank you. I think some things are missing with regard to this. First of all, I would like to say, yes, it's significant light improvement, which we knew we would get with LED. With regard to the slopes, one of the diagrams that was shown,
Is Bert's microphone on?
Yeah.
yeah,
Timer?
one of the diagrams that was shown was basically the light all projecting from where the pole is out toward the roadway. So we really should not have that lights on the slopes. Because apparently there was the one picture that showed that the sidewalk was lit, but the houses weren't lit. Okay, which meant that the light basically was from the pole outward. So that picture that we saw where the slopes were lit apparently was not done with the appropriate light distribution. Okay. One of the other things that I certainly think is of interest is what is the wattage that is being used within these light fixtures? I think that's of interest since it affects the savings. So you probably ought to understand what that is. As regard to the glare, I had made a recommendation before to put a diffuser where that glare is, and that basically shows up on the light on Carrizo in the corner that's on an arm and uses the, not the mushroom head, but rather the cobra head. And I think with a diffuser on that light, it would help to cut the glare significantly. So there are times where you do want to put a diffuser on. The only other comment I have is with regard to cost. Obviously, there were options open to you which you chose not to look at, where the price would have come in at least 1/6 to 1/10 lower in price. Certainly not taking advantage of the free pilot that I had offered would have been one of those options that you would have had an opportunity to see. With regard to some of the comments made, with regard to the retrofit light, I disagree with some of the comments. I've written that to you, pointing out that heat is not a factor because these lights have cooling associated with them. And there are a few other things that basically are not correct, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Do you agree with the selection?
Do I agree with the selection?
Yes.
I don't think
Did
you
we
get-
get an optimum selection?
I don't know whether you've made a selection. I mean,
Well,
have you chosen,
their recommendations are, and you heard them.
what's the wattage?
I can speak as to the wattage, if I may, Mr. Chair. So what we're doing is on the Cobra heads, we're using an Acuity 31 watt Cobra, and that's the difference from the 100 watt
Right.
fixture that we have in place right now. So it's a big difference in the wattage there, and big savings related to that. On the King fixture, which is the other fixture type, we're going to a 40 watt fixture, and that is from a 70 watt high pressure sodium. So there's significant savings from that as well. Relative to the glare, we will be using diffusers to soften them up a little bit. So that's something that we're going to be doing. And then we're going to, every location can be tweaked And that's
Has to be.
part of the technology that this fixture is offered. So they'll be doing that and make sure that they put the light exactly where it's needed. And then where needed on the overheads, we'll be using those diffusers.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Did we answer all your questions?
Questions?
No, means his comments.
Well, he is an electrical engineer, and I don't know that anyone else is, but I'm sure you have electrical engineers on your staff, don't you, Ernesto?
Yeah, well, we've relied on Siemens. They are the expert in lighting, and that's why they were retained by the mutual. And this is based on their recommendations and their specifications and the various analysis that they perform for you, so.
So, moving forward, and to address your comment, Bert, I've had a conversation with Ernesto about this, that wherever we need to adjust, we will adjust. Like if we need to light up the sidewalk, we're not going to light up the slope. So we're going to make the adjustments even after Siemens has installed everything, or we will have them make that adjustment and put the diffusers where necessary. This is our one chance to get this done. Anything that we do will be better than what we have, which is the primary goal of doing this lighting. And we want to once it's done, we want to get this done the best possible way to meet our needs. I know we are an aging community. We all have some needs or the others, and it will be in our best interest to get it done properly. And I'm sure we have capable people at the head of this project who will take care of it. So with that, if we can vote on this, all in favor of this project? None opposed, so it's passed unanimously.
It'll go into the board. It'll go into the board.
It will now get to the board, yes. So if we have any other item to tackle at this point, I feel that this is what we came to do today. Is there any other? Sorry?
No, it does not. It does not. Actually, it's in the budget already.
Yes.
This was approved with adoption of the budget in 2018, so all the
We
funding
will-
is available.
So we will be within our allocated amount of 800,000 or less, correct? Yes.
No,
No, that was a separate purchase.
separate.
Yes, yeah. We bought the poles, acquired them. When they became our asset, we were able to move to the second part, was to retrofit it.
729,000 or thereabouts is allocated for the whole thing.
No, polls were a separate issue.
Ernesto? Was it separate?
That is correct. It was a separate amount. It was the same contract with Siemens.
Okay.
And the contract to acquire the infrastructure was with Southern California Edison. They were separate amounts.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? If none, then I adjourn this meeting.